You're actually the first political leader to sit on the sofa. So, and such a busy day. I really appreciate your time. Let's talk about the stabbing in Golders Green, because Israel says that anti-Semitism is out of control in the UK. Do you agree with that statement?
I do think this is a national emergency. I was in Golders Green just a couple of hours ago, and I cannot tell you how palpable the fear that people there have. They are scared. People saying that being visibly Jewish now is impossible. They're advising their family and their children, their friends, to not look Jewish so they don't get attacked. And it was also quite striking that they do believe that they have to protect themselves. The police were there, but it was the Shomrim, the volunteer security, who also got there, apprehended the assailants. They have their volunteer ambulances, the ones that got firebombed at Hatzola, treating the victims. So they're very worried, and I understand why. This is happening all over the country.
The Prime Minister says more funding is going in. Do you accept that efforts are being made to protect the Jewish community, or do you just think more needs to be done more urgently?
So I think this is a national emergency. This is not like 4 or 5 years ago where we could do the bare minimum. I'm sure the Prime Minister has put in more funding, but Shomrim have said they've never had any government funding at all. The Community Security Trust has. That's a different group. They saved lives today. Probably more people would have been hurt or killed if they hadn't got there. But we need to see an increased police presence in areas where there are many visibly Jewish people. We do need to see that. We do need to see more funding. People need to know that they can't do this and get away with it.
The local MP, who's also Justice Minister, Sarah Sackman, was heckled, as was the Metropolitan Police Commissioner. Do you think that was justified?
So, temperatures are obviously running very high. I think when people are walking up and down a street every day, I was in Golders Green just before Passover, talking to people and them knowing that there are people trying to kill them, temperatures are going to run high. I'm mostly concerned about the victims, the people who were hurt. I spoke to the people who responded immediately to them. I spoke to the people who treated them. They said a centimetre or two, stabbed in the neck, that these people would have been dead. So I'm not surprised that people are angry. Obviously, I don't condone abuse. I think it's sad that is happening. But the community was saying that they feel that they're being neglected, and I do agree that it's a national emergency.
And there's a feeling that they're not getting the solidarity. When they are under attack, there's not enough people condemning it. Why do you think that is the case?
It's worse than that. It's not just that people aren't condemning it. We have some people saying that this is all just a perception of a problem, that there's not a real problem.
You're referring to the Green leader,
I couldn't believe that he said that. This is real. And so if Jewish people are hearing party leaders saying that this is just a perception, it's not a reality.
He did say neither are acceptable, didn't he? He did go on to say that.
I don't think that's good enough. And what we're also seeing is more of a normalisation of rhetoric that promotes violence and intimidation towards Jews. And people make all sorts of comments which I don't think they would have got away with just a few years ago.
Well, we've kind of got into the politics. Let's talk about politics more broadly, because you were your usual punchy self in Prime Minister's questions today. You got a few laughs. But I've been looking at the polls. Now, when you became leader in November 2024, the Conservatives were polling 22%. It's now around 17%. I mean, it's not even flatlining, it's worse than that. And if you compare it to maybe the worst days of Ian Duncan Smith, who was seen as a catastrophe as leader, I mean, the lowest he got to was 27%. What has gone wrong?
So we're in a different era. The era of two-party politics, where two parties more or less split 100% of the vote, has gone. We now have multi-party politics. It's not just the Liberal Democrats, it's Reform, it's the Greens. There's even a new party on the right called Restore that's coming up. I was in Scotland the other day. They got the SNP and Alba, Plaid Cymru. We're seeing a fragmentation in our political system.
So does that mean, frankly...
That's harming the established parties as new parties are gaining ground. But something else is going on, and that is that we had a historic defeat just a few years ago. The government is also having a very bad time after a short period, virtually no honeymoon, and all of this is impacting.
Yeah, but does it mean, frankly, that you are an irrelevance?
So what I am is a new leader of a new Conservative Party, and I'm not just changing the party, I'm also having more of an influence than any other party on the government. So many U-turns, social media, a U-turn, for example, family farms tax, a U-turn, winter fuel payments, a U-turn. We are the ones who are in Parliament day in, day out, stopping the government from doing things. They had this ridiculous pensions mandation. Many people wouldn't even have heard about it. We're doing the work.
Right.
If it wasn't for us, things would be even worse.
OK, so you're making an impact in terms of getting the government to change tax.
Yes, but that has an impact on people's lives.
Yeah, sure,
Children are safer. People have more money to heat their homes.
But
we are making a difference.
But are you making some of the wrong calls as leader? And is that part of the problem? Because, you tried to drag Keir Starmer in front of the Privileges Committee, and that was a political stunt, wasn't it, that went wrong? I mean, when you compare what he's accused of with what Boris Johnson was accused of, he misled Parliament, he broke the law, he was fined. I mean, the Mandelson saga doesn't compare, does it?
The Mandelson saga was a national security risk appointed to our most important diplomatic post. I do believe the Prime Minister misled Parliament. I put the evidence out there. Of course, Labour are going to call it a stunt. That's what they do about everything other opposition parties do and say.
But the Prime Minister isn't a liar like Boris Johnson was.
But I'm afraid the Prime Minister read out a false statement about what Sir Ollie Robbins had said.
It's semantics, isn't it?
Well, why are you making all these excuses for him,
Well,
Cathy?
I gave the Prime Minister a hard time earlier in the week.
I don't think that's right. I think that he sacked senior civil servants for doing what he had told them to do. He's destroying people's careers. And I think the worst part of yesterday is that he threatened his MPs with them losing their jobs unless he supported them.
OK, so you do think he's a liar, do you?
If he was so sure that he hadn't done anything wrong, then he should have allowed the investigation to exonerate him.
Is he a liar like Boris Johnson was?
The Prime Minister misled Parliament on multiple occasions, saying there was full due process, claiming that no pressure had been applied whatsoever,
yeah, but
opposite of what...
You can't call him a liar. You'd call Boris Johnson a liar.
So I believe... don't put words in my mouth, Cathy. I believe that the Prime Minister did lie. I can't say that in Parliament. I can say that he misled. But at the end of the day, he appointed a security risk and the best friend of a convicted paedophile. This goes well beyond Epstein now.
Best friend might be a bit of a stretch. But
well,
yeah,
they called themselves, that's what they refer to each other as. And to a post that was so sensitive, he would have been seeing American intelligence.
Right.
I think that's wrong.
Well, let's talk about another call that you've made as leader, which has been criticised, which is the war in Iran. The Prime Minister was right, wasn't he, to be more cautious than you, given the military adventure hasn't gone very well, has it, for Trump?
So, as far as I'm concerned, if our troops are being attacked like they were, we should defend our bases. I stand by that.
You didn't say that, though, did you? You said you've got to do more than catch the arrows. What did you mean by that?
So, if our troops are being attacked and missiles are being thrown, I don't think it's enough just to block the missiles. People might disagree with that. I think you do need to stop the people who are doing that. If all you're trying to do, if you're being shot at, is catch the arrows, eventually you will get hit.
So that
Some
means
people might
move into offensive actions rather than defensive.
So I think that is still defensive. This is, as you were saying earlier, semantics. But I'm very clear. I've been clear from the beginning. He should have expressed verbal support when an enemy country like Iran is in a war with an allied country like the US. You should say whose side you're on. That's what the Canadians and the Australians did. They didn't join the airstrikes. But our Prime Minister sat on the fence. I think that's quite worrying.
But isn't that quite clever when you look at what Donald Trump said about Britain? He called in question our sovereignty over the Falklands Islands.
Donald Trump's comments are wrong. All the comments that he's made about Britain and our military are wrong. But sticking your head in the sand like an ostrich does not make you a strategic military genius. Things could have gone either way. I do think that this war has not been prosecuted with a clear exit plan. That's something that I would like the Prime Minister to be asking for. But until then, let him focus on what he can do here.
Okay.
If we're going to have an issue with fuel supplies, let's drill our own oil and gas in the North Sea. That's our policy. This belief that we can just leave oil and gas and the tax revenue you get from it under the sea while we're importing from Norway, who are drilling in the same basin, just doesn't make any sense.
You'll know that the government's argument is that that wouldn't make an immediate difference. But
they're wrong. I can explain why, but fundamentally disagree. Yes.
Let's come back to Prime Minister questions, because you talked about the ballooning benefits bill there. If that's the case, why won't you even have a conversation about ditching the triple lock on pensions?
Because when we came into government in 2010, and this is long before I got there, but when the Conservatives came in, pensioner poverty was a real thing. £12,500 as a state pension is not that much money at a time when so many people who can work are on welfare. That's where we need to start. If you get people off welfare, it's a double whammy.
Although
you stop paying them,
32%...
You stop paying them welfare and they pay taxes as well.
But
that's
32% of people claiming universal credit are in work. I mean,
yes,
there's
but
a lot
they're
of
working
working
very
poverty,
few hours. They're working very few hours. They're not working 30 hours or 40 hours. Some are working 4 hours. It's not quite the same
Maybe
thing.
they can't get the work. But
So I think that our benefit system is out of control because we are paying more in welfare than we get in income tax. The rider is now heavier than the horse. That's not right.
But you won't even have a conversation about ditching the triple lock.
So the triple lock is not the problem. Growth is the problem. If we were growing, we wouldn't even be having a conversation about the triple lock.
Yeah, yes. But come the next election, will you have a conversation about ditching the triple lock? Is that a possibility?
The triple lock is Conservative policy. I stand by that.
Okay.
Changing the triple lock is redistributing money that's there. I'm saying we need to grow our economy. We need to create more value, create more wealth. That means letting business do that rather than putting more burdens on them and then hoping that a government scheme will fix everything. That's not the way.
I wanted to read a policy statement to you, and it is this. I now believe there's one big divide in British society, those that work and those that don't. Do you agree with that?
I do think that is what is happening now, that we're turning into a divided society where there are some people who can work, who don't work, and a smaller and smaller group of people are having to carry the burden.
And do you know who said that?
I don't know who said that. It's a simple statement. It doesn't matter who said it. I'm telling you what I think.
No, but it matters to me who said it because it was Nigel Farage.
It does.
I'm just making the point that, you agree with that statement, and there's quite a lot you agree with the Reform leader about, whether it's defence spending, immigration, European policy, that's another one, welfare.
Actually,
and I just wonder why, if you can't beat them, why don't you join them?
Why on earth would I do that? They are not really a party of the right. He said just this morning, he was on TV saying that what he really wants to, on Radio 4, saying what he really wants to do is increase benefits, but the media and other people are criticising him too much. That's not serious. Nigel Farage will say some things that are correct, some of the time. It's about whether the thing is right or wrong. That's what I'm about. It's not about whether it's left or right. It's about whether it is right or wrong. I do think it is right that too many people are out of work who can work. Every day I'm out and about in the country, people are telling me about people they know who are getting away with not working when they should be working.
So if you sort of despise Nigel Farage, it sounds like, from what you're saying. So
why would you think that?
Well, no, you were quite rude about him. You said he wasn't serious. Okay.
Yeah, that's not there's a big difference between saying someone is not serious and someone is despised.
You don't get along with him. So
he's another party leader. That's the normal thing. We don't all sit around singing Kumbaya. We're in different parties for different reasons.
But would you rule out here, at the next election, any kind of merger or tie-ups?
Yes, I can easily rule that out.
And propping up a minority-led reform government?
The Conservative Party has been around for 200 years. We are a heritage institution. I'm a custodian of the Conservative Party. Yes, I know mistakes were made in the past. I'm not here to defend the last government. What I'm saying is that we're a new party under new leadership. I was not elected to go have a merger with Nigel Farage, who is already having loads of problems of his own. Today, we're hearing that somebody gave him £5 million that he didn't declare. I think that's serious. The last leader of reform in Wales is in prison for taking bribes from Russia.
He's not here to answer any of those.
Yes, but we're not merging with that. No, thank you.
He's not there to answer any of those. But, I mean, would you rule out also, you've ruled out a merger or a tie-up, would you also rule out propping up a minority-led reform government led by Nigel Farage?
Yes, I'm very happy to do that. This is not... If people want Conservative policies, they need to vote Conservative. There are too many candidates in reform who I don't trust. There are a lot of people who cause problems in the Conservative Party. They were the people... There's so many of them, but yes, he is one of them. And they've gone to reform. Why would I then take this new Conservative Party, which I'm building, and merge it with the problems?
Right.
Nigel Farage has been doing my spring cleaning. He can have those problems now. They're his problems now, not mine.
One final question. I asked the Prime Minister about his wife, Vic, because she once said that she thought he was mad to get into politics. So I want to ask about your husband, Hamish. I know he was political himself, but does he ever worry about your political career, given how much abuse women in politics, and particularly women of colour, get?
He does worry. He worries about just the general state of politics and what we have to go through. He's constantly telling me, I don't know how you do it. But it's a joint effort. We're a team. I would not be sitting in this chair without the support of Hamish. He is an amazing man. He is the best partner that any woman could ever ask for. He earns more of the money, yet he does most of the housework, looks after the children. He's a god. I'm very lucky. I'm good. There's going to be a lot of payback on my side, but it's because of him that I'm able to do this. Because most political careers end up meaning that you have to make a sacrifice, or really your family makes a sacrifice. They don't see you as much, and they have to see all the mean things that people say about you, because any politician, doesn't matter what party you're in, you will have more criticism than you will have praise. It's just the nature of the job, and that is quite tough on families. So I'm very grateful for mine.
Well, Kemi Badenoch, I'm very grateful that you have been the first political leader to sit on our sofa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cathy.